Hi, I'm Jeremy,
And I'm Casey.
and we're in the middle of getting our second and third floors of our house we're building primed today in this 100-degree temperature that we're having.
Lovely weather.
It's great. Come join us. Ready for power? Oh, I see red on the indicator. That would help, wouldn't it? That would be on. All right. I'm supposed to put something on my face.
Get in it, David.
So we're just about ready to get started. And neither of us have done this before. We've painted a ton of paint between the two of us, all by hand. And I've done some on the exterior materials, but I have not sprayed on the interior. The tip that I have does say it works well for what we were doing here on the interior, so cross our fingers on that. So you put the out. See anything?
Yes, it says 0.015 to 0.021 tip at 2000 psi.
2000. Okay. I guess I'll just run it along the floor.
Sounds I'm going to start with the edges.
You start wherever you should like, my love. Is that rolling on okay? So far, so acceptable. This is probably the worst ball for us to start on because I can't see and you can't see. Both together, top line. So I feel like I need to get it a little thicker. I'm going to slow down a little.
But that definitely looks better than back there.
Okay, and should we treat this as wall or ceiling?
I say we treat it as ceiling because for backrolling purposes.
All right, sounds good. Is it similar to what you did before? More or less?
What? What?
As it says, it's similar to what you had done on the stairs, this process? Or did you do a different order?
Well, I'm using a sprayer. So
Obviously.
I cut in on the stairs and then rolled.
You can see we are back rolling, and this is the priming step. So with our primer, it does specifically say to back roll if you spray on the primer, and so we're following that direction. We're using a really thick nap, and that's partly because it's a higher quality roller, but the nap specifically is because we wanted to have some slight texture to the walls instead of having them be perfectly flat. And if we had wanted to have them perfectly flat, we would have definitely had to go to a level 5 finish, I think. But so far it's coming out really nice without having a level 5 finish and just having this, I think it's a 1/2 inch nap. It's really meant for more like masonry, but what it does is it leaves lots of little bumps, almost as thick as an orange peel texture, but not quite. It's kind of subtle, and we'll probably do the same on the paint step as well.
So it's going to be 101 degrees today, and we're feeling it. It's probably only like mid 80s up there right now, do you think?
Yeah.
in the attic, and the attic is usually 5 degrees warmer than the second floor, which is usually 5 degrees warmer than the first floor, give or take. So it's pretty pleasant on the first floor, but it's just not where we need to be working right now. Yeah, so Casey is saying we're getting pretty good coverage with this. It's going way faster than cutting in. I think it's looking pretty good. It's almost impossible to tell wherever there's a shadow. Like we kind of, even with our glasses off, but definitely with our glasses on, I can't see it. If it looks mostly okay, we're just calling it okay, right?
I mean, if we can't see it now, most likely we're not gonna be able to see it too badly when it dries, so.
Sounds good to me.
I feel like you can definitely tell when you look at it and compare it to the ceiling though. You can see what we've done.
Well, what I'm seeing is that it's very obvious when there's a problem, like a scrape or a lump that we missed. And
Yeah.
so the fact that we're not seeing anything, I think means there's not much there.
That's good. I've seen a few spots, but I think this is easily the worst of the house because it's where I started.
So they say that you should expect somewhere between 300 and 400 square feet per coverage for 5 gallons of paint or 5 gallons of your average primer. And I think that we are probably getting 300 or less. And it took me a while to figure out why that was happening up here in the attic. But the reality is we are so close to the absolute ceiling for temperature on this stuff that to where they say you can't use it anymore. And I think when you get super, super warm like that, it's just drying far too quickly. And so that's what's going on. But we're definitely getting lower coverage. Well, it's the next day, and today we're going to be focusing in on the second floor now that the attic is primed and ready for paint. We're going to try and get the second floor done, and that's partly because of the heat as well. So we're in the hottest part, the early part of summer here in July right now, and we are getting very concerned about the possibility of a last extension. And I think, if I understand correctly, technically they should just grant us one more. However, I hate putting ourselves at the caprice of our government, given that we have had plenty of incidents in the past where they have demonstrated genuine caprice and not been working in our best interest. And you know, that's just not a good place for us to want to be. So we are pushing as hard as we can to get this done and not have to ask for another extension, but there are a lot of things going on that may push us in that direction, so we'll see.
Well, we're arriving at the end of our saga for the day, and you can see the shine of drying paint. And Casey is working on the hall, which is the last area that we've had to finish. Kids' bedroom 1, done. Little closet. Master. And it's looking really nice and bright where the sun's shining in here into the master bath. Master closet. Painted in, including the closet area in there. Obviously the attic upstairs. And kids' bathroom. Painted in. We did have one minor, I had to hold that. But It's not the only place. Some of my brilliant idea of the film didn't work. Wherever it started to do this, it's popping out. And I can't help but wonder, one thing I can think of is we didn't tape, because you're not supposed to tape the bottom flange on these outside of these windows, so the rest of it's sealed 100%. But down here it's not caulked or taped, and so the air must be flowing up in to the inside of those window areas, and so it's getting behind this masking film and bubbling it out, which loosened it enough to where, you know, we almost had some paint getting in, so I had to be real careful. Well, it's been a couple days. We're in the middle of a heat wave right after the meteorologist had got through saying that the summer was likely to be a cool one, and that we were looking at maybe one or, you know, maybe 2 days over 100 for the whole summer, and we're on day 3 of 100 degrees right now. Oh man, too funny. Not really, actually, quite annoying. I haven't been out to really see how things went, to be honest. This is different light than we'd been out here working on the sun, so we got started in the afternoon, and it's super bright out here, which you want to take a look, I think, at least I want to take a look in different sunlight conditions and then just see how everything's turning out. So right here, I'm trying to see it now in this lighting condition. There's a tape joint somewhere in here, a vertical tape joint, and when we had put the primer on, you could really kind of see it. I can't see it now. Maybe it's just the lighting that we have right now from the outside, but angle to angle, I'm not seeing it. So I'll come back in the evening and see if I can put a flashlight on it. What I want to catch is anywhere where, you know, there's a shadow, that's something that I can still address. So in other words, if there's a low point or an excessively high point and it catches a shadow, I can still fix that at this stage, either with a little mud or a little sand and redo potentially. The primer will come off and I can sand through that. Paint not as easy, but the primer will. And not that I want to do that, but I do want to catch any of that now versus staring at it and being miserable. The sort of thing that would really bug me. You know, I'm not a craftsman, and kudos to drywall finishers who can get it right first time and go really fast. It's a hard trade for sure. So we've primed our upstairs 2 floors, attic and second floor. And I just took some time this morning, super hot, went through and marked all of the deficiencies. And I'm going to take you through and show you all the little things that can go wrong in either the drywalling, finishing, or the priming step. Those are all different things that can be corrected before painting, and so we'll talk about what we're going to do to fix them. Okay, so first up, minor cracking in the mud in corners, in particular in the attic here. This is a very, very hot place, and this cracking is not indicative of movement, it's just indicative of rapid drying in a mud that's not meant to dry that fast. And this can be fixed with just a little bit more mud, or you can just get some good paint in there. The texture of your primer is fairly dry as well, and a good paint should take care of that. But we'll put a little bit of mud in there and put some paint over it. So this is a tape seam, and you can see this darkened edge right here, and this tape is adhered. It just dried differentially one side versus the other, and so you can see that because I have too thin of a layer of mud over top of it. So if I add a little bit of mud, given that there's no movement and the tape is sound, that should fix that one. Okay, so here you can see a tape joint, and this is a very short butt joint that goes up and meets into a tapered edge. And the only way to fix this is just going to be to cover it with some more mud and feather it out a little ways, make sure it's properly covered, and then I can come back and I can prime it again. So here we have a scratch that we did not get sanded out or filled before we primed, and that's
deep enough that I need to fill it. Paint won't do that. And that's a very easy fix. One of the easiest fixes, just to get a little bit of mud into there, and that should fix that, and then put primer over it again. This is a primer paint drip, super simple. I can sand that down. Up here, this is a spot where the mud bubbled, and that's a very easy fix as well. Just a little bit more mud through to fill those holes, and then reprime. Here's an edge of a butt joint that did not get properly sanded all the way to make it nice and flush. Simple fix in this case because it's indented. I just fill that. Whereas up here, I might need to sand, or because it's a longer one, or again, just feather that out slightly further. So here's a spot where the tape is going to be covered by the baseboard, and it has bubbled up, and there's a crack on the sides, but it will be covered, so I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to bother to fix it. Little gouge in the primer, probably from tool bumping it. I would be that tool. I can fix that very easily as well. This is a little fuzzy, left by the paint roller when we were rolling back after spraying, and a light sand should get that off, or I can try and gouge it out with my fingertip and then fill it and then paint over that as well. Here's something I call a little skin tag, and I just need to get, like there's some rough spots in here that need filled, but skin tags, very easy to fix. You can just pick them off or blade them off, and not a big deal if you have any texture. We just have basically no texture at all. Essentially just a little bit from the rolling. Little spot where somebody damaged the drywall and needs a little bit of mud. Not bad enough to need a patch. This screw did not get filled enough. So it probably got hit once and got missed because it's right next to the outlet. And I think the plate will cover it, but we'll go ahead and fill that and get some prime on that when it's nicer as well. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to work on doing all of the fixes that are fills or sands, and then we'll do prime touch-ups. When I come back, I'll come out here and brave it in the evening, probably tonight, even though it's going to be super duper hot, and that will give me a chance to see very different lighting. I don't think I'm going to take the time to set up an actual light on a stand, to really bathe each room at a different angle to be able to see everything, because I can pretty much get everything with, just taking my phone camera light around and putting it at different angles. And I know where every seam in this house is in the drywall, and that's really where the vast majority of your time is going to be spent looking and for fixing things, is the corners and your seams. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Stick around, hit subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.